Hey guys, welcome back to Talk to Me Sister podcast, season 2. If you're new to the pod, we're twin sisters and a ton has happened since last season. I'm a cancer survivor. Kathy had my baby. The baby's here, happy and healthy. Yes, and we're advocates for women's health and we're going to cover a lot of topics this season. So thanks for following along. We're back.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
And we're back. I feel like we need to sing like Backstreet Boys.
Back streets. I know.
All right.
Did anyone miss us? We're not sure. This is so fun.
I think we've kept people up to date.
I know we have. And people have been very kind to see, like, ask how we're doing and all those things.
I missed it, though. I'm ready.
I really missed our podcast. I mean, honestly, our break was good, but
it was
got
busy.
To enjoy
clearly
everything.
Very busy.
Yes, clearly very busy. Hold on. My 4-year-old is knocking at the door.
Oh, come on in. Come on in, Char.
Charlotte.
Join the lady talk.
Okay, what do you need?
After the iPad, I want to play.
Okay, that sounds great. Go play in your room. Please do not. Love you. Okay.
It's her little voice.
I know. She's like
her little tongue click.
Yeah, she doesn't need anything. She knew she wasn't supposed to knock at the door, so she did. No, back to this. I really missed our podcast. I'm so excited about this next season. And I'm just proud of us for like going into a season 2.
Me too.
After everything we've been through and you've been through, like we're going to do, guys, this is kind of like our welcome back episode. We're going to give you guys a little bit of an update on us, on Kathy's postpartum journey, on my postpartum journey as a new mom. Actually, not a new mom, but mom of 2 with John Ryder, and just kind of give you an update on everything and give you an update on what's to come as far as guests this season 2. But before we dive into just kind of what's going on with us these days, we are not going to give too much detail because drum roll,
but I can't do that with my tongue, but I was
trying either. But Kathy, drop the news.
We are writing a book.
Woo!
Yeah. And if you read our People article, we kind of gave a little mention to it in there, so we thought we'd go ahead and
just say it.
Just say it out loud.
Say it out loud to the universe. But we're not going to give too much detail on birth because we're saving it for the book. But I wanted everybody to know it's not just about surrogacy. It's a book about sisterhood, family, faith, love, just our whole journey and kind of what we've learned along the way. So
we'll include birth, obviously, but that's just
obviously
kind of that's in there. It's addition. Yeah.
Well, it's a huge part of our story, and we're excited to kind of give like all the details. It's going to be a memoir that Kathy and I write together. So
yeah, we got lots of work to do. Our proposal is in the final stages. So we're excited to share that with you guys. But we do want to share with you a little bit about the birthday because we know everybody's kind of waiting in anticipation. And we will encourage you, like we won't go into a ton of detail because we don't want to be repetitive. So we have shared a lot of information on our Instagram. Mm-hmm. So if you don't follow at Talk to Me hold on.
Talk with the number 2 _ podcast. Yeah, and Kathy and I have shared a few pictures.
Sister. Oh my gosh, we're butchering it. It's Talk to Me Sister _ podcast. It's in the show notes. So.
Yeah, and honestly, the People article, they wanted like an exclusive, so they got some like first information on birth and me cutting the cord and all that. So that's a little great tool. But we'll give you some personal insight into birthday that we can share, and then. Yeah. So,
all right. Yeah. You mean to start, I guess, with birthday?
Sure.
Okay. So we shared with you guys our birth plan. So that was the end of season 1. So go back and listen to birth plan. And it actually, I feel like you often make a birth plan and it doesn't go to plan, but ours like really went to plan. We had so many answered prayers. We were so excited that honestly we made a plan and it really panned out exactly as we expected, if not better. Right?
I know. And I feel like too, with the surrogacy journey, like it's obviously very different. We have a lot of women listening that either want to be a surrogate or are hiring a surrogate. That's a weird thing to say, hiring, but I guess it's what it is.
It is what it is, I guess. Yeah.
So, but what was nice is that you have like a team of people that help you write this plan. And like Kathy said, like we were so lucky that we didn't have any hiccups or weird things because obviously COVID, it was like the height of the Delta variant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as
Well,
far as
yeah.
Richard and I were, we were a little nervous that maybe just one of us was going to be in the room. That didn't happen.
Crazy because it was like we were in the clear. We got cleared by all the COVID protocols in the summer. Everything was kind of getting lifted. The COVID units were pretty clear. And then like a week or two before John Ryder's birthday, Delta variant started to really ramp up and they started reinforcing COVID restrictions. But I think we just got in by the skin of our teeth. What happened was that like I had to get tested as like the birthing person, test negative. And so I went and did that a couple days before his birthday or before our induction. And then of Sarah, Richard, Alex, everybody was in the room. And then after he was born, we all went to our separate rooms. So Alex and I had a room and Sarah and Richard had a room to recover. And after we separated from the birthing room into our recovery rooms, they actually wouldn't let us visit each other after that. So
I'm so glad that we spent like 2 or 3 hours just in the birthing room. Which I don't know if normally people would do that with a surrogate, but obviously like you're my sister. And I mean, it was like the sweetest time. And I'm so glad that we did that because I was like, okay, Kathy, like come up to our room soon.
Yeah.
And
we
I
were
didn't
like, see
realize
you guys in the morning.
Yeah. Like,
it was
that's true. It was like
time or so.
dinner time. And I was like, come in the morning and like have some snuggles and we can like hang. I didn't realize that was like the last time I would see you.
In the hospital. Even our nurses I was pumping colostrum in like little tiny syringes. And I tried to bring it up there to you guys and they wouldn't let us. So the nurses had to like pass it off back and forth.
I know. She was like, they were really trying. Dr. Samples came to see me and to see you, I know.
Yeah.
And was like, I think she also pulled some strings for like the birthing moment.
Yeah.
But like
we had a lot of people on our side.
Yeah, but she was like, I've done all I can do.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, we were ready to kind of go home. I was tired. You know, it would be different as a surrogate because I do think as a surrogate that wasn't family connected because I do think it would be, you know, we would birth, we would, hug and, see the baby. And then probably it would have been like, we would part ways anyway.
Right.
So, but, and also for me, I knew I would see John Ryder in like 4 days. We had the people shoot scheduled. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go home and sleep and we'll see you guys
the rest of his life.
And the rest of his life.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, like you had the opportunity to rest and sleep. And I know that's what you needed. It was like physically, I can't imagine like, well, I've given birth before. Like you just want to rest, but also just like emotionally, I think it was nice to.
Yeah, I think it was little silver linings that kind of helped the situation. It helped. I was much more in control of my emotions and my mood than I anticipated. And I generally am. I generally am like a kind of a black and white person. And I don't if I'm feeling something, I'm like, just give me a second and I'll work through it.
Yeah.
And so I think it helped. I was like, Alex and I really got to connect and talk and debrief about the whole situation. And we just like, he climbed in my hospital bed and we like watched Netflix and ate tacos. And, it was just like a sweet, like, oh my gosh, we did it. And we got to rest and really nobody in the hospital bothered me too much. Everybody kind of came in and did their thing. And it was a really relaxing time that usually you don't have after you give birth. It was like when I passed the baton and all of a sudden the things for you picked up. So, but let's back up maybe. So,
okay.
We jumped forward.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. But so we were induced on August 18th. And let's see, I spent the night at Sarah's the 17th. So that was a really sweet time. On the 17th, Alex and the kids took me and dropped me off at Sarah's house. And the kids saw the nursery and gave Sarah a hug. And we kind of had like a goodbye moment.
Yeah,
which
that was good.
Really sweet. Yeah. And they got to drop me off and know that I wasn't coming back with baby, your baby. And we just got to communicate
and I think that was good because most surrogates don't get that probably with their family. Like it was a good, I think, process for their little minds to be like, okay, this fun journey was done and John Ryder's about to go home with his family.
Yeah.
Like, in their minds. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it did. They saw his room and knew that's where he was going to live and stuff. Yeah. So we said he's coming out tomorrow, So that was a fun night. It was just like hard for us to sleep. Sarah and I kept like waking each other up kind of because I would like wake up to eat a snack at like 1 a.m. Yeah. She'd be like, hey, you good?
Yeah. I was like, well, before that, before the induction, I guess it was like a week before or like 4 or 5 days before, we thought like every day we were like, okay, Kathy's going to definitely go into natural labor because they had stripped your membrane. You were already dilated, which you hadn't been dilated before with other kids. And I think Richard and I were like bags packed by the door for like 5 days.
Oh, for sure.
So
we
I
did
think
too.
we like the night you spent the night, we were like so excited and just ready. But also I think it was kind of nice that you had that time with us. And we could like plan. There's something nice about planning.
It was so fun. I mean, neither of us had an induction before.
Right.
Yeah. So it was like kind of the craziest feeling to like leave my house, come to your bed, spend the night and knowing that the baby was like for sure coming tomorrow. Cause I kind of loved it. Honestly, it was fantastic. And
yes, I did
we
too.
knew that everybody was going to get to be there and it wasn't going to be a rushed process. And my only concern was that it would be kind of slow just because we were all like, the induction process kind of forces it sometimes, but I had already made such great progress physically in terms of dilation and effacement and all that. And it was my third baby. So I felt encouraged by that, but still I was like, oh man, what if I'm like walking into a C-section? But
no, I like had total faith that it wouldn't be that way. And also on the flip side, I was more worried that it would like, because it was your third baby, that you would go into natural labor and like have the baby in the car or something. So I was like pleasantly surprised that we were like getting induced because I was like, okay, it's controlled. Kathy's not going to like have the baby on our kitchen floor and we would miss it or something.
No, it was really sweet. And we woke up early, like we had to be there at 4:30 a.m. So it was dark outside and all four of us were just like literally skipping to the car.
So fun.
It was so sweet. And so they checked us in and they started me the only thing I got was Pitocin for induction.
Yeah.
And when I arrived, I was about the same that I, last time I was told the pod. So like 3 centimeters, would they say 50% effaced or something? So they started my Pitocin low and slowly increased it through the morning. And this has changed since I gave birth. They gave me food and clear liquids. Like, so I got regular coffee and pancakes and it was like a game changer.
That was nice.
Because usually they tell you not to eat, but I think they've realized that, especially first time moms who have a long labor, like clearly you need energy and sustenance and nutrition. So what else, Sarah? We kind of bounced on the ball for a little bit. I just kind of swayed back and forth. I was not really feeling serious contractions like all morning and I was dilating. I was like moving along and it was mind boggling to me. And I think it's such a testament to like every labor is different. Every baby is different. It's just it was so crazy.
I feel like you did really good. I mean, honestly, I didn't even feel like you were in labor until you started pushing.
I know.
And the epidural, thank God. I'm just so glad you got the epidural. I feel like it just made things easy. I know that like our hope for the room was it just to be like calm and peaceful and you feel like as little as pain as possible and just like everybody feel we just didn't want any crazy things to happen. And I feel like it was so smooth and you did such a great job.
Yeah, it was so calm. It was like Alex showed up at some point, brought like coffee and breakfast for everybody, but all four of us just kind of sat around and like waited for things to pick up. So by like 12:30 or so by lunchtime, they were like, I was maybe 5 centimeters, 5 to 6. And I was just like, really surprisingly comfortable. And they were like, why don't we break your water? And I was like, okay, that sounds good. But if we're going to do that, let me get an epidural. Because I know that things will pick up after that because that had been my experience with my other babies is that breaking the water, like it was like kind of holding them in there. And I'm so glad we did because they broke my water, gave me epidural all around kind of the same time. And I was like clicking that button as fast as I could because I
could
like,
tell for a couple like contractions, I was like, okay, we're going to need more.
We are excited to have Seeking Health back as a sponsor for season 2 of the Talk to Me Sister podcast. If you want quality vitamins, you can use our code SISTERS2 for 10% off your next order.
This exclusive coupon gets you 10% off your next order. That's SISTERS2. Visit seekinghealth.com. Okay, so some fun things while that time period was happening. We had like the sweetest nursing staff. And I think as an intended parent, you go into this kind of a birthing situation and you have like a little bit of like nerves and you're like, this is not a normal process. Like I'm the mom, but like someone else is having my baby. But like, I think that our nursing staff was, because they read the hospital plan and they knew our story, it was just like so amazing. They made Kathy feel so comfortable. They made me and Richard feel so comfortable as the parents. And I think that was, I think that was so helpful.
They like gave you a hospital gown and like really tried to make Sarah feel like she was as much of the process as she could be.
There's a lot of intended parents or moms probably listening that I've told to listen to our podcast that are thinking about using a surrogate. You have a wristband, they give you the name tag that says induction and they, you're the mom, they give you a hospital gown. Like it's not just like you're a bystander, because I've had women ask me that, like, does it feel personal? Does it feel like your baby? Does it feel like your day? And yes, like this all hands on deck with the surrogate, because like you want to make sure that like specifically you, Kathy, like you want to make sure that that's all hands on deck as far as like you want she's the one having the baby. But for those who have asked me, like, did you feel like it was also your day and your baby and your moment? And yes, the answer is yes. I think the hospital staff made us really comfortable. And Richard, we had wristbands and we knew that we were going to have a separate room with Ryder after birth, and the birth certificate's all in order. And you're just there. You're there making sure your surrogate has a comfortable birth, your baby's healthy, and just to be like present in the moment and just like, it's all about the baby. And so I think that was really special. From our perspective.
Sweet. Yeah, I felt like everybody got kind of peace about that. Like right when we got there, we started checking in. It felt we had a big birth room.
Yeah.
Which was nice. I will say, just for people listening who are thinking about doing this, your bracelet and John Ryder's bracelet said my name, which was the only like, I was like, oh man, I kind of wish they had figured that out, but it was weird because I was the patient, so they couldn't like print off those bracelets for John Ryder until he was like here.
Yeah.
Anyway, but his bracelet said my name and Sarah's bracelet said my name.
Yeah. Just because you were the patient, we were linked to you. But once we got up to our floor, they gave us like all the hospital to go forms and like everything said our name on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just like that initial bracelet so that they couldn't give him to somebody else.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I felt like, I was like, they've got to have figured that out by now, like for adoptive parents or something.
For sure. Oh yes. I'm sure they have figured that out, but it was like, part of me feels like they were like, well, this is her sister. Like, it was like, there was like, that's the last thing we want to like worry about.
Yeah. It was no big deal. But so I got my epidural and I'm glad I did, because when they broke my water, I could literally feel him descending. And I've heard this from so many people. I was like, they're like, I got my epidural, but it didn't like totally numb you. And I do think that like, that's been my situation both times I've had an epidural, is like, if you expect to have a completely pain-free, 100% pain-free birth, like you're going to be, you're kind of disillusioned, because I do think that like, even with an epidural, like you do want to feel a little in control of your body, because it helps you push and all of that. And I think it's always helpful to have some kind of coping mechanism. I think that's why my first birth was so like startling, is because I didn't have any coping mechanisms. I thought, oh, I'll go in there and get the epidural, whatever. So yeah, the pain started to pick up. I'm glad I got the epidural, and then everything really sped up. So they came in, checked me, and I was like, I went from like 7 centimeters to 10 in like 20 minutes. And they were like, it's time to push. And that was like when I started, like the moment I felt emotional is when I was like, oh my gosh, it's here, it's time. And it just was like more joy in that room than I thought. I did wonder going into it if I was going to have any anxiety or sadness, but I had so much joy. I felt, you know, zero instinct to like grab him when he was out. My instinct was to hand him to you, even though I don't think I touched him actually. But yeah, you pick up and tell like what happened. I pushed maybe through 2 contractions and he was here. It was fast.
You had an amazing birth and it was so calm, and we might circle back at some point to do like a birth story episode and give more detail or save it for the book. But it was in general just a really smooth day, a really sweet day. I got to cut the cord. Like Kathy said, she actually, John Ryder laid on her stomach. I cut the cord, and us as parents, we did the first skin to skin. A lot of people have asked me that, which was really sweet. And honestly, like I get this question a lot too. Like he felt like mine from the start.
Yeah.
And I think that just like this whole process, go to our Instagram too, because we have some reels and like we've talked about this. You know, when you create an embryo and then you do the transfer, I think like from the start, everybody kind of knows the process and their role. And I think that I just like mentally just we waited for him for so long. When he came out, he felt like ours, and it was just really sweet.
Yeah.
We had, like Kathy said, you know, we all had like what 2 hours together after, and then after we got our skin to skin and Richard got his skin to skin moment, we handed John Ryder back to you, and that was like the closure moment. I think of like you guys did it. The journey was over.
Oh, so sweet. Really, and I shed 0 tears that day, like except for like I literally like felt like I just laughed the whole day. I was like, "Oh, we did it! Like he's here, you guys!" Like
it was a crazy experience.
It was just there's
we
nothing
all
like
cried
it.
Tears of joy.
Yeah, there's nothing like seeing you guys meet him and him in your arms. I mean, we definitely cried tears of joy, but there was just no like I just couldn't believe he was finally here, and he looked like you guys and felt like yours. I felt such a sense of joy and accomplishment.
Yeah, and I thought just like going back to just like everything Richard and I had been through as a couple, like the hysterectomy, they told me we had like closed the chapter of children. And then when we were thinking about surrogacy and Kathy was like, no, I want to be your surrogate. Like all those memories flooded back, and it was like, oh my gosh, like now we're actually here. He's here. And now that he's home with us, like I can't even imagine him not being a part of our family. It's just like so sweet, and I still can't believe.
Yeah, it was just the sweetest day. And I said this on the reel. I was like, I can see why it's such a high. You're on a birth high as a surrogate, but also to see you guys meet your son. It just was a life-changing experience for me. And I'm so grateful the 4 of us really are the only people who know what that experience is like. And it was just an incredible day that changed my life forever to see you guys be parents that way. And that we got to be a part of it. I'm just forever grateful that God allowed me to be a part of his life. Like it's just incredible. So,
well, same for us. I think that we're just like we will forever be like amazed at this gift that you volunteered to grow him for 9 months for us, and you always going to have a special bond with him, which we always love.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're twins, so I already feel like your kids are like my kids, extensions of, but you'll have an extra special bond with him, which is sweet.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it has been an easy postpartum for both of us. I mean, Sarah's in the throes of new motherhood, as you can tell by our little baby interruptions. So we'll talk about that. We're going to do a postpartum episode. Sarah, tell us about our guests that are coming up for season 2, because I do think we're excited. Me and you are both excited about.
Yes, we're going to have postpartum episodes. I am like going on 4 hours of sleep. I know that like it's been 4 years since I had Charlotte, and so I don't know if it's because I'm older or now that I have 2, but yes, 2 is definitely like all hands on deck. Wouldn't trade a moment. We're completely obsessed with him, and it's worth every second, but definitely exhausted, and in a good way. So we're going to do a postpartum episode like Kathy said. We're going to talk about nutrition, fitness, something fun. We're going to have a sleep therapist on that's going to talk about baby sleep.
Yeah. Everybody always has so many questions. Like, when do I take them to their room? How should I sleep train? Should I not? Like, all of that stuff.
All of that stuff. Yeah. And then let's see some fun ones. We have Sissy Goff on the podcast, she's incredible. She's written a lot of books. She's going to be coming on to talk about raising boys and girls. So we're going to have like a parenting episode where she's going to give us like incredible parenting tips.
Yeah.
What
this
else,
week
Kathy?
We're talking to Emily Gilmore. She's a pelvic floor therapist. So
excited about that one.
Whether you've had kids or not, when you're interested in your pelvic floor, so like if you pee when you sneeze, or have like, pain or anything like that.
Or also, let's talk sex. I mean, that's like literally, so many people, let's just throw it out there, have painful sex, or like, it's different after you have children, or like, post-hysterectomy, or, I mean, it's not often that people our age have a hysterectomy, but some people listening do.
Some people do. And so all of it is so important and not talked about enough. And that's really what we're focusing on our second season, is bringing up some conversations that we should be having as women. So we're excited about that.
Yes. And we're definitely talking about like postpartum and babies and mom life, which is so fun because that's the season we're in. But we're also talking about, we'll talk about other stuff too. And the category is women's health, women supporting women. We're going to have some women on to tell their stories, and, sky's the limit with topics. So make sure you tune in to season 2. Also, don't forget to check out our Amazon shop. Amazon shop. I've added some new fall clothes, which is always fun. Kathy has her postpartum
like it's a whole list in there. Yeah. And I do think there's been a lot of things on there that have made this process easier. Even on my Instagram, I shared some herbs and stuff I included to make it easier. But
okay.
All right, everybody. Well, more to come. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Also, make sure to check out our Amazon store. Thank you.